Good morning. It is Monday, October 26, 2020. You can now relax and be informed. Here is your daily bite of news. Hundreds of vehicles took to the streets on Long Island, New York, to show their support for President Trump's re-election in another MAGA-GRAS parade. 1,000 people are said to have been involved. A Jews for Trump vehicle rally parade met with some violence and resistance. Eggs and rocks were thrown at vehicles, some from pedestrians angry at traffic being delayed by the convoys, and some anti-Trump protesters pepper-sprayed into vehicles with open windows. Rudy Giuliani's car leading a convoy was egged. Police made several arrests for disturbances. A group of 13 prominent Orthodox Jewish leaders released an open letter in support of President Trump over the weekend, praising his administration's unwavering commitment to the essential importance of religious entities. The rabbis wrote about the turbulence and uncertainty that faces all backgrounds and beliefs as a result of the pandemic. They quoted Psalms 84:8 and endorsed the president for future leadership with a blessing. President Trump thanked the spiritual leaders on Twitter. In New York City, Orthodox Jewish institutions were fined $15,000 during the High Holy Days for having more than 10 people gathered inside religious facilities for prayer. Afghanistan claimed Sunday it had killed a top al-Qaeda propagandist, HUSAM al-RAUF, who was on the FBI's most wanted list during an operation in the East. HUSAM al-RAUF served for years as al-Qaeda's media chief and re-emerged from the shadows in 2018 to mock President Trump and help lead the al-Qaeda movement. Meanwhile, the Afghan government continues to fight Taliban militants even as peace talks in Qatar between the two sides take place. Afghanistan's secret intelligence service, responsible for the killing, claims the Taliban was offering shelter to HUSAM al-RAUF, which would violate the terms of the Taliban's agreement for peace talks with the U.S. to not cooperate with al-Qaeda. The Taliban have not confirmed or denied their involvement, but say that they will investigate the matter. On Sunday, Pope Francis announced 13 new cardinals, and one, Archbishop WILTON GREGORY, will become the first African-American cardinal. He has been a national figure since 2002, when as president of the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, he presided over the adoption of a zero-tolerance policy towards priests guilty of sexual abuse. Pope Francis installed him in Washington, D.C. last year. In recent months, Archbishop Gregory has pushed for better race relations. He says it is important that young Black Catholics see church leaders who look like them. He was raised in Chicago and became an ordained priest in his 20s in 1973. In 2004, he became Archbishop of Atlanta, where he encouraged a welcoming environment for LGBTQ Catholics. On Sunday in Chile, voters massively approved scrapping a dictatorship-era document and writing a new constitution with a 78% majority. This process could transform the country's politics after a year of protests and massive street demonstrations calling for sweeping change in better wages, healthcare, and education. This plebiscite is not the end. It is the beginning of a path we should all undertake together, President Sebastián Piñera said in an address from the presidential palace. Until now, the Constitution has divided us. As of today, we shall cooperate to make a new Constitution become one home for all of us. Thousands flocked to the Plaza Italia in Santiago to celebrate on Sunday, chanting and waving and dancing and setting off fireworks. Currently, Chileans have a high cost of living and many live in debt. The public health system and education is in shambles. But Chile's transition to democracy in the 1990s and the new zeal for social changes has many hopeful that they can take their many countries' resources and use them towards education and healthcare reform. The treaty to prohibit nuclear weapons has now reached its goal threshold of 50 countries ratifying it, so it will become international law according to regulations by the United Nations. Honduras was the 50th country to sign. The treaty aims to destroy all nuclear weapons and forever prohibit their use. The treaty is not binding to countries that have refused to sign it, like the United States of America. American officials have called the treaty a dangerous and naive diplomatic endeavor. Still, as of January 22nd, the treaty shall take effect, and it represents the growing acceptance and changing priorities of a new era. The Trump administration sent letters to the 50 countries that agreed to the treaty, exhorting them to reverse their decision. Supporters of the treaty say that supporting the treaty is just like others in the past that were used for landmines and chemical weapons. Over time, the treaties became more accepted and helped shame bigger countries into agreeing to them. Even if the treaty doesn't bind them legally, it does have an impact. Joe Biden publicly dismissed Republican questions about his son Hunter Biden's business entanglements with Ukrainian business Burisma as a smear campaign. He said, "When you put the combination of Russia, Giuliani, the president together, it's a smear campaign because he has nothing to run on," Biden said in a 60 Minutes interview. Biden's claim that the emails are all Russian disinformation has not been substantiated, however. National Intelligence's letter on the matter merely states that the evidence for Russian involvement in Hunter Biden's leaked emails is deeply suspicious. Despite the rising known cases in COVID-19, 2 peer-reviewed studies from New York University and the UK Alan Turing Institute show death rates in all age groups have gone down substantially since the first wave. In New York, patients treated in the health system had a 25.6% chance of dying in the beginning. Now that number has fallen to 7.6%. Some reasons for the dramatic drop include better experience for healthcare workers, new treatments, protocols, and mask wearing and social distancing. The researcher added that it is also possible that earlier periods had a more virulent circulation strain of the virus. Places that enforced mask wearing had an 80% higher asymptomatic rate among test groups, as opposed to areas without the high mask wearing, making it one of the most important steps for people to do to help stop the death count from rising again. As of Sunday, more than 57 million Americans have already voted. There is a 65% total turnout expected by the end of the election, the highest number since 1908, according to the U.S. Elections Project from the University of Florida. The group says early voting trends favor Biden at the moment, but late turnout voters could still favor Trump. The surge in voters could still be a toss-up to either side. Only time will tell. Well, that will do for our news for now. If you would like to read up on our topics, please see our description below for our sources. Subscribe to receive a daily news update. Thank you for listening. Be relaxed, be informed, be connected.